Welcome back to the Go Deeper podcast. Today, we're going to talk about a scarcity mindset or an abundant mindset. And I would say that most people are probably early on in their life operating out of fear, operating out of lack, and you're just scared. I think early in your 20s, you're definitely scared. Am I going to make it on my own? What am I going to do? And that's kind of where it starts out. I don't think abundance mindset comes unless you grew up in one, unless the environment you're in is making you believe that there's more than enough for you. It's definitely something that's learned, and it's really learned in the overcoming and the realizing that you are the one that's in control. It's not that there's a lack of something. It's just you have to abundantly think that there's enough and more than enough for you, even if someone beside you is winning. And this I see happen everywhere, specifically in my business in particular. It happens quite a bit. There's a lot of real estate agents, and that first and foremost, even agents that have been in the business a while, that first and foremost scares people as new people come in. They get a scarcity mindset of, oh, there's another agent coming in. I'm going to sell less houses this year. But I think something as you grow wiser, as you become more emotionally or spiritually mature, you realize there's always more than enough. You just have to go get your fair share. So let's talk about, I give you a glimpse of like where scarcity mindset lives in my business. Where do you feel like scarcity mindset has lived in the gym world, the gym equipment world?
I think it's every day because
Yeah.
I get it. Oh, Stephen, I want to open a gym. There's 3 gyms in my town. And then the first thing I tell everybody, I'm like, well, listen, there's like 20 gyms in a 3-mile radius of mine, from little personal studios to big boy gyms to women's gyms to the what we wouldn't even consider a gym that's like a more boot campy. There's CrossFits, there's people doing classes. So I always tell people there's plenty to go around, and I'm normally the guy that upfits all the local gyms and sells them equipment. Some people would say, why would you do that? But I'm going to start it from when I was opening up, way before the gym equipment and all this. I remember, like it was yesterday, opening my little gym, and some of my friends and people within the community being like, Steven, how are you going to compete with Gold's Gym? They've put everybody out of business. And you've heard me tell this before. I would always say, I'm not trying to compete with them. Well, what are you doing? I'm doing it my way. I'm doing it because, and I think there's a huge difference with how I grew up versus how someone else grows up. And the reason I say that, I grew up in an entrepreneurial background that there's tons of restaurants, but in the Greek world, that Greek person will go open up a diner anywhere. And normally they're pretty successful. And I'll tell you why. Because that owner is there from morning to night. They greet every person with a smile. They go above and beyond for the customer. And people eventually will notice that. And so that was my philosophy. I can't win at first with the best equipment. I don't have the funds. But I am going to make them love Steven because I'm going to pour my heart and soul into them for free. If they're a member with me, I'm going to, I'm going to walk in the gym like, yo, what's up? Like, I bring that energy when I walk in anywhere. And normally people feel that. And then slowly but surely, they started coming to my gym. And I knew, but it was a struggle bus. It was struggle for a while until.
You can always win your own race. And you decided you were going to do things differently and you aligned your business with who you are as a person, and you built a value system around it, and you brought it to life. Where you fail is when scarcity mindset comes in and you try to mimic and be somebody else. And when you try to mimic and be somebody else because you think that's what you have to do to be successful, you fail instantly.
I agree.
Because you're going to become who that person is. That's not who you are. What they're doing is not going to be what fulfills you. You have to run your own race and do what you're good at. One book that was like huge, and it's a book, it's a movie. I'm sure nowadays on YouTube, you can just YouTube it, but it was called The Secret. And it opened my mind up to knowing like there's so much power in right here. A scarcity mindset or an abundant mindset starts right here. It doesn't start anywhere else. It can be poured into you in the environments that you're around. But when you realize you're living either in a scarcity setting or an abundant setting, you can change your environment and make this mind up here become abundant. And what it starts to happen is when you're aware that there's a scarcity or an abundant thought happening, it goes back to the difference of like love and fear or positive and negative. And I had to start catching myself, A, when I was in negative environments, B, when I was hearing, seeing, thinking negative. And I'm going to go deep here. It's not just what you're hearing, it's what you're eating, it's what you're putting in your body, it's what you're doing or not doing to your body, it's working out or not working out, it's eating healthy or not eating healthy. It's listening to rap music versus listening to worship music. It's being around people that are gossiping versus people that are thinking bigger and talking about their goals. All that starts to become who you are. And then if you're listening to somebody that's a scarcity, fearful, negative mindset, it's who you become. So you have to be very cautious, especially in your early 20s when you're vulnerable and naive and life's just coming at you and you're trying to figure it all out, into making sure that you stay in a world that's abundant, that's thinking positive, that's thinking dreams, that's thinking vision, that's thinking goals, that's eating healthy, that's working out, that has some sort of faith in their life of some capacity. Like you need to be that version of yourself. And when you're that version of yourself, there's like a flow that starts to flow inside of you that aligns you with who you are and what your purpose is. And then when you start to do that, you know that you're running your own race and not somebody else's. And you're listening to yourself and you're taking steps and you're growing and you're leveling up and you're staying in that abundant flow. That's beautiful. That's how you continue to grow and live a very purposeful, abundant life. It begins here before it physically begins in your life.
But what I think happens sometimes, Amber, that person who's flowing through that meets the one wrong person.
Yeah.
Who becomes friends. Could be boyfriend, girlfriend, could be the friend they grew up with that is a negative Nelly that shits on their hopes and dreams. Many times I get asked this, Stephen, I want to open a gym. And I will always tell them the pros and cons, but I will never shit on their dream. And the reason I say it like that is because so many people shit on mine. And those same people, and you've seen it, that from the 20-year ago, Stephen, even before you met me, to when you met me, to now, first of all, I'm a different person. But secondly, but I'm the same person. I've just matured and become better and, even think bigger than I did. But I thought big back then. And so I always tell people, those people who didn't want anything to do with me, now a lot of them come calling my name, wanting to partner, do business, sell me something, do this. And I don't forget that. Like, why didn't you want to do it back then? Oh, you thought I was stupid back then, but now you think I'm not, whatever. And so, but that never scared me from doing the do. But so many people, they're like, hold themselves back. Or, you've heard this, and let's talk about this. Oh, honey, just go take the safe job. What are you teaching your kid? It infuriates me when I hear that. Just go take the safe job. You're telling someone to do something.
That's living in fear. That's living in a scarcity mindset.
Exactly.
But I would say, if you're in your 20s or 30s or whatever age you are, if you have somebody like that in your ear, you have to realize that they just haven't figured out like what their purpose and walk in life is yet to reach abundance. Like we're abundantly blessed in our businesses because we abundantly love what we do. And then when you abundantly love what you do, like you attract good things and you attract opportunities and things just start to happen. Where if you're living in fear and you're coming in this office, whether you're selling gym equipment or real estate or whatever it is you're doing, and you're like, oh, is my phone going to ring today? Am I going to sell a house? Am I going to make an appointment? Oh, nobody's going to call me. I'm not smart enough yet. I haven't sold enough houses. I haven't sold enough gym equipment. Why would they buy from me when they can buy from X, Y, and Z? Like you have failed. You're going to create scarcity in your life.
Hang on, you failed before you even started.
You're right.
You have failed.
There goes through a season of that level of confidence and abundance doesn't happen till like you put in the reps and you make those phone calls and you put yourself out there. And then you see a little fishy call you or answer the phone and say, yeah, I am looking for a house. Or yes, I do want to buy gym equipment. And you gain a little bit of confidence.
Sure.
But you got to like show up and do the work before the confidence happens. And that's where people fail is they show up and think it's just going to happen. And because they're living in fear. There is something The book The Secret is really about the law of attraction of like living abundantly. When you start to do what you love and you work hard at it and you're consistent and you show God or the universe or whatever it is you believe in that like you're passionate about this, there is something that unlocks after you do that for a while where like there is an abundant flow of
Sure.
business. It does not happen right away. It happens after you've planted seeds, you've prayed over them, and you reap the harvest eventually. But you got to put in your time. You got to suck a little bit. You got to fail a little bit.
You're going to
You
fail.
got to keep
You're going
going.
to fail to get better.
But you got to be grateful for the failures because they teach you. And
You
that's
learn.
even a mindset.
That's right.
Those failures don't define you. They only define you when you stop in the failure and you let it become you. If you keep going, they actually make you stronger. They actually teach you something. They actually build your confidence. And now you know what to do the next time. It's a flow of life. And every time you get to a place of complacency, which I personally believe placency is a place of scarcity, that this is all you are created to be right here in this moment. There's always another level.
Absolutely.
It's just whether or not you have the abundant mindset and the belief in yourself to step into it. Nobody's going to come knock on your door, honey, and say, hey, it's time. No, you know it's time inside, and you have to believe that, and you have to step up into it and know that the fears, I'm living in it now. So Stephen, those fears of like, is this what we're supposed to do? Are we doing it well enough? Should we be doing it more? What else should we be doing?
The opportunities lately
happens.
that have been thrown at us.
Right.
That we don't even know what to do or say or how to take it. And we're sitting there at nighttime talking, saying, why is this happening? What? We could either have scarcity mindset or abundance mindset, but we know it's happening for a reason. We know we're doing the right things and we've got to still stay smart enough to navigate. But to go back to touch on what you were saying, you've heard me say this before. I used to tell my father in the restaurant business, I said, Dad, the typical Greek guy has the little restaurant, the little diner, which there's nothing wrong with. I'm not talking about anybody in particular. And he's going to sell 200 cheeseburgers a day. I said, Dad, I want to be the guy selling the burger meat. I said, because we can only produce so many burgers on that little grill. But I said, if I can sell the burger meat to all the restaurants in the world, they're all going to be selling millions or thousands or whatever of burgers. And we make a little bit off each burger meat. And so it was a different type of mindset because the normal diner restaurant owner wants to be in control of his little restaurant. Well, I'm of the opposite, bigger thinking abundance mindset. Prime example, when we got into the nightclub business from the restaurant business, I was 19, 20 years old. And all my dad's friends said, Stephen, y'all are opening up. They would call it a bar. Well, y'all are opening a bar. What time are y'all opening? And I said, 10 p.m. 10 p.m. You're not opening after work? And they would all make fun of me. And because they didn't understand it. And I said, they said, 10 of us would come after work. And so I said, look, I want to be very honest with you guys. I said, I appreciate you saying that, but I said, an average bar is going to have, let's say, 50 people come a night. I'm trying to do 500 to 700 on Friday night and 500 to 700 on Saturday. So I'm going to do way more people in a shorter amount of time. I'm going to give people a better experience, and I'm going to be off work 5 days a week. And I can go do my gym of business or gym equipment. And we done that, didn't we, for a long time. And so it's the different mindset of thinking.
I was just sitting here thinking and hearing you say all this, and like your one, I would say like tagline in life is like go big or go home.
100%.
Like that is your only
100%.
in all aspects and everything that you do, you always live next level. I'm a pretty big thinker, but you're like sometimes 10 times my thinking.
Well, tell them if we walk into a designer store a few years ago, what did I say? I said, what's the next level? And then they open this hidden door. Tell that story.
And I think we don't realize there are so many levels to life.
Right. We didn't know, did we?
If you live in the one that you're comfortable in, you're going backwards and you're living in scarcity. If you don't realize like there's another level.
Right.
And another level and another level. And when you live life a little bit, you'll figure it out. If not, you're going backwards in life. And I would ask yourself to, check yourself in that regards. But scarcity is an internal game before it's an external outcome. You're going to live scarce if you have an internal scarcity thermometer. You're going to live abundant if you have an internal abundant thermometer inside of you, regardless of either one that you have got to know you're in control of it and you can switch it. And it's a thought process you have to change, but you have to show up and do the work and put in your time and take the thought and the belief inside and do it long enough and consistent enough. And I used to say to myself every day, like, I'm one day closer from being the top real estate agent. I'm one day closer from being the best podcast. I'm one day closer from being the best version of myself. You have to tell yourself that every single day. It's not a belief that just happens, because we live in a very worldly world where everything's just going to come attacking you, and you're going to read something, or you're going to get on Instagram and compare yourself, or you're going to do this over here. And all of a sudden you shut down your abundance, or you're going to have a negative comment, or you're going to have an upset customer. Just because you're thinking abundantly doesn't mean the world's not going to attack you. More so than not, if you're making a loud noise, you're going to be heard and attacked. It's the ones that stay in a scarcity mindset that nobody cares about. So I would say that if you're in a season of like growing and leveling up and becoming abundant, get ready for people to attack you. It's just what comes
They
with it.
attack me every day.
Every day. You just have to know that those people don't define who you are. They're attacking you because they're upset with themselves.
One of the best things I ever heard was at one of your real estate conferences, that Jesse Itzler speak.
Yeah.
Who I'm a big fan of.
I loved him.
And we would love to meet one day, Jesse, if we can do that. But anyways, I'll never forget. So he's right up my alley. He's got
I was going to say,
DJ.
if you were to mimic yourself out of
Yeah.
a presenter, like if you've
that's
never
the
seen
type-
Jesse Itzler, he like has a DJ DJing his speech, and it sets the energy next
I
level.
loved it. And I
Yeah,
loved
it's
his
fun.
energy, but he comes out there and I'll never forget it. And he's like, he's talking about when he's younger, and he's like, he said, I told all my friends, my business partners, we're millionaires. And then he rises up and he's like, they just ain't paid us yet.
Yeah.
And I loved it because he believed it.
believed it.
And we've started documenting a lot of things, and I'm going to start speaking to myself what I feel, because I thought this 20 years ago that I can do what I'm doing. But I wish I would have filmed myself saying it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's powerful, I think, if we would have filmed ourselves. Like, I would love to have filmed myself when I was like talking to myself in those darkest moments. I was actually looking at my vision board this morning, and this is like where my abundant mindset clicked in, is like you can visualize, as long as you show up and do the work, you can visualize and create whatever abundant life you want to live. I originally like wrote down when I was 17, 18 years old, like, I'm going to drive a Range Rover. I'm going to marry a tall, dark, and handsome man. Like, I was visualizing what I wanted to become. And then if you visualize it long enough and consistent enough, you'll believe it. But this morning I was sitting there looking at my vision board, and there was a few things on there that I've achieved, but I had my original like Bible verses on there that I would like recite in my mind every day. And it was like, plant the seed, reap a harvest. To whom much is given, much is to be expected. Believe it first, conceive it in your mind, and it will become real. Like Matthew's 8, there's several Bible verses. And I was just looking at them and I was like, that's where like my mindset began, when I was like reciting those things over and over and over again every day in my mind. And then it became my life. And then it became like who I was. And then it became the message I spread. And then it became this abundant life that's not just about me, but it's about everybody else. But it like started 20 years ago when I was in that struggle. So if you're in that struggle, just keep going and just make sure you're pouring good things in your mind. But you got to believe it in here. And you got to do the work before it becomes a thing out here.
Well, most people don't understand. By doing the work, by default, and doing repetition after repetition, everybody comes up to me about weightlifting and how much do you bench and all these things, right? And the first thing I tell them, the hardest part's walking in the door.
Yeah.
That's step one. The first day walking in the door, whether it's your job, your business, doing this podcast, doing number one. Because if we do anything at this point, we're doing it 110%.
Yeah, we're go hard or go home people.
We're not going to do it.
No.
We're going to implement, and then you get better by the reps. I used to always say that, I would always compliment Amber like she's the best speaker, she's good on stage and all this. And if somebody would have asked me 5 years ago, hey, can you be on stage and speak? I would have absolutely said no. Like, I'm not. I would always put myself down, but I've started not putting myself down, because more and more people is like, Steven, you're a great speaker. You're one of the best storytellers I've ever heard. And I don't necessarily think I am or am not anymore. I'm just being me because now I've put in the reps so much. Hell, I talk to people all day long in my office. It's no different. I've just not got the camera on me.
You've been putting in the reps. You just didn't believe it in yourself.
Maybe.
You've always been a good speaker. You've always been able to like cultivate somebody. You've always been able to like keep your energy high and like you feel the story when you tell the story. You are not afraid to like show emotions, whether it's high energy, whether it's intensity, whether it's tears. That's what makes you a good speaker. You don't have to be perfect to be good at what you do.
Sure.
And I think that's this scarcity mindset of I have to be perfect. Y'all, I still suck at a lot of things in real estate. But what I don't suck at is showing up and doing the work and doing it consistently. A person that's at 70 to 80% skill level, at 110% work ethic will beat an agent that's at 100% skill level, 30% effort. And that's where so many people fail is you have to keep yourself so humble even as you grow to realize what made you get here is not going to get you to that next level. And you are going to have to start doing things differently. But you got to come in and you got to push past those fears and you got to keep doing the reps. And it's not about doing it one day. It's about doing it every day. Because even when we go away and we come back to work because we haven't done what we were consistently doing for a week, you're off. There's people that live life off. They show up, especially in real estate, and work hard one day. They don't work hard 2 days. They work hard day 3. You're never going to build a consistent, stable business that comes from a level of confidence if you build your business like that.
Consistency.
Confidence comes from consistency. Consistent effort done day after day after day builds confidence, which then builds this abundant mindset of, I know calculative that if I do X, Y, and Z, this will happen. And that's where like the abundant mindset comes in is it's up to me to do it. Just because I said it is not going to happen. You also can't go and check your bank account and think that that's going to make you feel good all the time either. Because I believe when you check your bank account, when you're focused on the money, it's coming from a place of lack, not from a place of abundance. You have to just put your head down and know the money's going to flow. If you do what you love and you do it well and you do it consistently, it's going to eventually end up in your bank account. You need to check it out of responsibility and check it with a sense of just like money IQ of what to do with it. But if you check that bank account worried about it, from a sense of fear. I remember this was 20 years ago, I heard this. When you go to the mailbox every day and you pull the mail out of the mailbox, you need to think of those bills coming in as money coming in, as checks in the mail, because it's small things like that that will trigger you. If you start worried about a bill coming in, it triggers you into that place of like fear, like, how am I going to pay for it? What am I going to do? Where's the money going to come from? And then that will give you a lack of confidence to get up and go do your work the next day.
I don't even ask you what
you're worried
what our
about
power bills are.
Yeah.
And I've trained myself.
We're at a different season of life.
Right, but I've trained myself
Yeah.
to be like, if my wife said, hey, Stephen, the power bill's averaging $200 more, I would just go work a little, an extra hour or two or whatever I needed to do to justify that money.
Which we have the blessing we can do that.
We do, but most people, they're not even willing to work a part-time job.
Yeah.
Especially in their 20s and 30s. When you got the time, it's what you said. You need to grind it out.
Yeah.
There should be no. And in fact, right now we're at that season. And you know me, I think big, but I have laid it all on the line this year. And I am very asset gym equipment heavy right now with not.
And be vulnerable. What does that make you feel like? Fear, a little bit fear.
Fear, anxiety, a little stressful to where, but like, me and Bryce were talking, the past few days. And I'm like, Bryce, I need you to do this, 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 this. And we've almost, I want to say shut down the past month. We haven't. We're open. We're making sales, all this stuff. But we've had to slow down.
You got to slow down to speed up.
speed up. I had to get my warehouse completely reorganized. I had thousands of new machines coming and all these things. And I've laid it all on the line, but I believe so much in myself. And you know why I believe so much in myself? Because I've been doing it for 20 years. I know I can get the job done and I'm going to sell this stuff and replenish the bank accounts. And bottom line is, I wouldn't have this confidence if I did not do it already many times over. Now, granted, that's scary.
It's still scary and it still triggers us. Even there's been seasons of anybody's business or life, you're going to have seasons of slowing down to speed up, to level up. And I think the one thing I'm most grateful for is like, we understand that. And when he comes home and I know he's that way, like I try to pour positive things in him. Like, go and do the work tomorrow. Like, work extra hard. Stay up a little bit late tonight and do the things, because I know that's what it takes. I'm not telling him like, like if you came home and I put fear
I
and
would like that.
worry and what shuts you down.
I don't think I could live like that, because
People do every day though.
yeah, because I never get on to you with like, you need to sell one more house.
No.
Because I know she's gonna do the work to sell the house. And if I put that fear, because I've seen through my gym a lot of people, they're living like that, and it's nothing but animosity,
heaviness.
It's,
People avoid coming home.
It's not good. And I also think this is good that we're tying this all in, that holds a lot of people back from taking the risk of abundance and being almost mediocre, not consistent, because they're scared of the next level.
Well, I think if you have somebody at home that's living in a scarcity mindset and bringing fear into you, over time, it's just like if you have a little axe chiseling at a hard piece of ice, if you keep hitting it enough over time, it's going to break. If he were to come home every day and I like hit him with negativity and fear and worry and told him not to do stuff, eventually he's going to break. Even as strong as he is, I promise you at some point in time, it's going to break him down and not make him as confident at work. So if you are that person being negative to somebody else, like, stop, don't do it. That is like mental torture. He already knows where the position he's in. He doesn't need me to tell him. He needs me to like empower him and pick him up and tell him what to do and speak faith over him and like make things good in his mind. So then tomorrow he goes to work and is like, my wife believes in me. I'm going to go like kill it. There's so many people that don't have that in life. And like, that's a trigger for me.
And in fact, to bring this up, I've told you many times to slow down real estate, to do other things that are going to propel you to the next level.
Yeah.
All the marketing and everything, like, I don't want to say you learned from me.
Yeah.
But like, you saw me doing it when you met me. Like, that's where I don't think you thought the way I thought.
Yeah. No, you're definitely, between the two of us, probably the more, I think big, but you think next level.
But I'm just talking about as far as like putting yourself out there. Like, for instance, we had a plan for like your social media. And my point is, I'm like, Amber, you got to listen to me because this is what you need to do. And did I steer you wrong?
No.
And so this is where I tell people, it's like, listen, we're not battling, you know. I asked her literally maybe 2-3 weeks ago. I was like, Amber, does it bother you that yours is not hitting the way mine is? Because it bothered me, because if I buy something nice, I'm buying her usually one too. I can't control the way things are, who's getting asked to do what. And so it's
iron sharpens iron though. And I think like, and this is, I'm just being very real in what's happening in our life. Like, Steven's thriving and being promoted and getting these beautiful opportunities. And a lot of them were like things that were inside of me and not even inside of him. So of course, like, it's going to like be like, was this for me? But I think there's like an obedience of saying, maybe I am just supposed to help him. And that's my race. Maybe my race is changing, and maybe my race is not to be, maybe it's him to be those things and I'm to be like the supporting person behind it, which I'm totally fine with, looking for opportunities for him. I just need, no matter where you're at in life, you just have to figure out like, what does your race look like? What's your heart and spirit telling you to do? And how do you stay in peace? Because if you don't have peace in here, the abundance is not going to come. If you have an inner turmoil, fear and scarcity is going to come, and it's going to attack you, and then it's going to attack the people around you. And that's no place you ever want to live. So like, you always need to be cheering on your spouse, the people that live in your life, the people that work in your business. There's more than enough for all of us. Our races just look different. And you just have to run your own race.
Well,
abundantly.
I've always told Bryce, I'm like, Bryce, we're on the same team.
Yeah, we're on the same team.
Bryce used to get mad at me.
Yeah.
He'd be like, oh, I talked to them. And I would say, okay, did you sell them? No. Why? I'm like, because I'd made a text message and literally sold them in 2 minutes. I said, Bryce, and I'd want to choke him. Well, we're on the same team. So then I had to make him implement that time.
Yeah.
Meaning like, you got to be Johnny on the spot.
Bro. People expect that. We live in an Amazon world.
Yes.
If it's Speed to lead, bro.
Yes.
That is the name of the game.
And so I'm not doing anything. I just literally was faster than you. So over the past couple of years, Bryce has been 10 times better because now he knows. I'm like, bro, go sell the whole effing warehouse.
Yeah.
Like, we're on the like, I don't care. And in fact, a lot of times I'm like, Bryce, post this. I won't even post it because I don't have enough time on my plate anymore. So I let him do a lot of that. A lot of my stuff now is education that then leads the customer to me because I have my own sense of customers that are literally texting, calling every day for equipment. There's usually not a day that I don't sell equipment.
Yeah.
So is there any closing words that you want to end with?
My brain just had something and it flew out the window and I don't remember what it was, but it triggered me when you said something a moment ago just about like the abundant mindset and thinking big. Go ahead. It may come back to me.
Well, I think that we should end the podcast with, here's the deal, guys. Think abundance. And it can be baby steps. You don't have to shoot for the moon off the gate. My goal, at 18, 19 years old, and I didn't know how I was going to do it, was, hey, I want to open up a little personal training studio. I need a few pieces of equipment, some dumbbells, maybe a power rack, whatever. And that then led to bigger things. And then I was like, how Stephen, how are you going to compete with Gold's Gym? No one around me was 24 hours at the time. I had done hours and hours worth of research. Internet was not what it is today. This is early 2000s. There was no system really for that. The only 24-hour gyms were like a punch code. So I wanted like very, detailed software that I purchased, if you remember. So I was like, that's going to set me the difference because I want to be a private place that maybe a handful of people's in that is 24 hours, because the thought process behind that is like, hey, Amber may never go to the gym at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, but she can. So she's willing to pay a little more money for that because maybe that one time, and I hate to say this, convenience is everything. And now we know that this is 20 years ago, but in 2025, people pay $12 to get a coffee dropped off to them that they could walk in Starbucks for $5, $6, but they pay double that to get it delivered for convenience. So at the end of the day, keep thinking big.
I think you have to realize the small wins equal the big wins over time. And you have to focus on how do you win small to win big. You have to plant seeds and expect the harvest may take 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. It's going to come. You only ever fail when you give up or you don't try. So if you're in a season of struggle, keep going, keep trying, grow yourself, groom yourself. Know that those failures are actually growing you and they're actually deposits into your next level. So just keep going after this big, beautiful, abundant life. Create a vision. They always say if you don't have a vision, the people will perish. Creating a huge abundant vision for your life is what will be what gets you through those hard times. Right. And it'll keep you from giving up. So just keep going, try hard, give it your all. Surround yourself with really good people that if you're in a funk, they pick you up, they call you out, they pour into you. Iron sharpens iron. You are going to become out of the top 5 people you surround yourself with, you're going to become the average of all those top 5 people. So if you're ready to level up, really pay attention to who you're surrounding yourself with. And if that circle does not empower you or inspire you, you're in a cage. So you need to find a bigger circle that will help get you out of this mental mind funk and help you think bigger and go after your dreams. I promise you they'll come to life if you work hard.
I agree with everything my wife said. If you like this podcast, please like and subscribe. We always appreciate you watching, and we will see you on the next one.